He was not blind, not deaf, not senseless. Sensation came to him, but filtered through a nervous system twisted and short-circuited by the shock of the pyre concussion. He was suffering from synesthesia, that rare condition in which perception receives messages from the objective world and relays these messages to the brain, but there in the brain the sensory perceptions are confused with one another. So, in Foyle, sound registered as sight, motion registered as sound, colors became pain sensations, touch became taste, and smell became touch. He was not only trapped within the labyrinth of the inferno under Old St. Pat's, he was trapped in the kaleidoscope of his own cross senses. Again desperate, on the ghastly verge of extinction, he abandoned all disciplines and habits of living, or, perhaps, they were stripped from him. He reverted from a conditioned product of environment and experience to an inchoate creature craving escape and survival and exercising every power it possessed. And again the miracle of 2 years ago took place. The undivided energy of an entire human organism, of every cell, fiber, nerve, and muscle, empowered that craving. And again Foyle space-jaunted. He went hurtling along the geodesical space lines of the curving universe at the speed of thought, far exceeding that of light. His spatial velocity was so frightful that his time axis was twisted from the vertical line drawn from the past through now to the future. He went flickering along the new near-horizontal axis, this new space-time geodesic, driven by the miracle of the human mind no longer inhibited by concepts of the impossible. Again, he achieved what Helmut Grant and Enzio Dandridge and scores of other experimenters had failed to do, because his blind panic forced him to abandon the spatio-temporal inhibitions that had defeated previous attempts. He did not jaunt to elsewhere, but to elsewhen. But most important, the fourth-dimensional awareness, the complete picture of the arrow of time and his position on it, which is born in every man, but deeply submerged by the trivia of living, was in Foyle close to the surface. He jaunted along the space-time geodesics to elsewheres and elsewhens, translating I, the square root of -1, from an imaginary number into reality by a magnificent act of imagination. He jaunted. He was a bored nomad, drifting in the empty frost of space. He stood in the door to nowhere. The cold was the taste of lemons, and the vacuum was a rake of talons on his skin. The sun and the stars were a shaking ague that racked his bones. Glomhafrednis the Klomahamagensen, motion roared in his ears. It was a figure with its back to him, vanishing down the corridor, a figure with a copper cauldron of provisions over its shoulder, a figure darting, floating, squirming through free fall. It was Gully Foyle. Me hat just struck to Cranagan, but flimcork. The sight of his motion bellowed. Aha! Oh no! Me get not to cack! The flicker of light and shade answered, Ooh, so? No! Ah! The whirling raffle of debris in his wake murmured. The lemon taste in his mouth became unbearable. The rake of talons on his skin was torture. He jaunted. He reappeared in the furnace beneath Old St. Pat's less than a second after he had disappeared from there. He was drawn, as the seabird is drawn, again and again, to the flames from which it is struggling to escape. He endured the roaring torture for only another moment. He jaunted. He was in the depths of Rorf Martel. The velvet black darkness was bliss, paradise, euphoria. Ah! He cried in relief. Ah! Came the echo of his voice, and the sound was translated into a blinding pattern of light. The burning man winced. Stop! He called, blinded by the noise. Again came the dazzling pattern of echo. Stop, 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 stop. The distant clatter of steps came to his eyes, and soft patterns of vertical borealis streams. Clatter, 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 clatter. Thrakama shouted like as a gasgur of Ligathanufel. And a beam of light attacked. It was the search party from the Roche Martel Hospital, tracking Foyle and Gisbella McQueen by geophone. The burning man disappeared, but not before he had unwittingly decoyed the searchers from the trail of the vanished fugitives. Let's see if we can read that. There came a shout like a zigzag of lightning. There came a shout like a zigzag of lightning. He was back under Old St. Pat's, reappearing only an instant after his last disappearance. His wild beatings into the unknown sent him stumbling up geodesic space-time lines that inevitably brought him back to the now he was trying to escape. For in the inverted saddle curve of space-time, his now was the deepest depression in the curve. He could drive himself up the geodesic lines into the past or future, but inevitably he must fall back into his own now, like a thrown ball hurled up the sloping walls of an infinite pit, to land, hang poised for a moment, and then roll back into the depths. But still he beat into the unknown in his desperation. Again he jaunted. He was on Jervis Beach on the Australian coast. The motion of the surf was bawling, Lager mist Krota Haven Jal, Luger mist Matislavendul. The churning of the surf blinded him with the lights of batteries of footlights. Gully Foyle and Robin Winsberry stood before him. The body of a man lay on the sand, which felt like vinegar in the burning man's mouth. The wind brushing his face tasted like brown paper. Foyle opened his mouth and exclaimed. The sound came out in burning star bubbles. Foyle took a step. Grash! The motion blared. The burning man jaunted. He was in the office of Dr. Sergei Orel in Shanghai. Foyle was again before him, speaking in light patterns. Who are you? 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 He flickered back to the agony of Old St. Pat's and jaunted again. He was on the brawling Spanish stairs. 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 The burning man jaunted. It was cold again, with the taste of lemons, and vacuum raked his skin with unspeakable talons. He was peering through the porthole of a silvery yawl. The jagged mountains of the moon towered in the background. Through the porthole he could see the jangling racket of blood pumps and oxygen pumps, and hear the uproar of the motion Gully Foyle made toward him. The clawing of the vacuum caught his throat in an agonizing grip. The geodesic lines of space-time rolled him back to now under Old St. Pat's, where less than 2 seconds had elapsed since he first began his frenzied struggle. Once more, like a burning spear, he hurled himself into the unknown. He was in the Skopsky catacomb on Mars. The white slug that was Lindsay Joyce was writhing before him. No, 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 her motion screamed. Don't hurt me, don't kill me, no, please, please, please. The burning man opened his tiger mouth and laughed. She hurts, he said. The sound of his voice burned his eyes. She hurts. Who are you? Foyle whispered. Who are you? Who are you? The burning man winced. Too bright, he said. Less light. Foyle took a step forward. Blagada mao from Michelagostock Vista. The motion roared. The burning man clapped his hands over his ears in agony. Too loud, he cried. Don't move so loud. The writhing Skopsky motion was still screaming, beseeching, Don't hurt me, don't hurt me. The burning man laughed again. Listen to her. She's screaming, begging. She doesn't want to die. She doesn't want to be hurt. Listen to her. It was Olivia Prestine gave the order. Olivia Prestine, not me. Don't hurt me. Olivia Prestine. She's telling who gave the order. Can't you hear? Listen with your eyes. She says, Olivia. What? The checkerboard glitter of Foyle's question was too much for him. She says Olivia. Olivia Prestine. Olivia Prestine. Olivia Prestine. He jaunted. He fell back into the pit under Old St. Pat's, and suddenly his confusion and despair told him he was dead. This was the finish of Gully Foyle. This was eternity, and hell was real. What he had seen was the past passing before his crumbling senses in the final moment of death. What he was enduring was he must endure through all time. He was dead. He knew he was dead. He refused to submit to eternity. He beat again into the unknown. The burning man jaunted. He was in a scintillating mist, a snowflake cluster of clouds, a shower of liquid diamonds. There was the touch of butterfly wings on his skin. There was the taste of a strand of cool pearls in his mouth. His cross-kaleidoscope senses could not tell him where he was, but he knew he wanted to remain in this nowhere forever. He was in a scintillating mist, a snowflake cluster of stars, a shower of liquid diamonds. There was the touch of butterfly wings on his skin. There was the taste of a strand of pearls in his mouth. His crossed kaleidoscopic senses could not tell him where he was, but he knew he wanted to remain in this nowhere forever. Hello, Gully. Who's that? This is Robin. Robin? Robin Winsberry, that was. Robin Yeovil, that is. I don't understand. Am I dead? No, Gully. Where am I? A long, long way from Old St. Pat's. But where? I can't take the time to explain, Gully. You've only got a few moments here. Why? Because you haven't learned how to jaunt through space-time yet. You've got to go back and learn. But I don't know. I must know. Sheffield said I space-jaunted to Nomad. 600,000 miles. That was an accident then, Gully, and you'll do it again, after you teach yourself. But you're not doing it now. You don't know how to hold on yet, how to turn any now into reality. You'll tumble back into Old St. Pat's in a moment. Robin, I've just remembered. I have bad news for you. I know, Gully. Your mother and sisters are dead. I've known for a long time, Gully. How long? For 30 years. That's impossible. No, it isn't. This is a long, long way from Old St. Pat's. I've been waiting to tell you how to save yourself from the fire, Gully. Will you listen? I'm not dead? No. Oh, listen. Your senses are all confused. It'll pass soon. But I won't give the directions in left and right or up and down. I'll tell you what you can understand now. Why are you helping me after what I've done to you? That's all forgiven and forgotten, Gully. Now listen to me. When you get back to Old St. Pat's, turn around until you're facing the loudest shadows. Got that? Yes. Go toward the noise until you feel a deep prickling on your skin. Then stop. Make a half turn into compression and a feeling of falling. Follow that. You'll pass through a solid sheet of light and come to taste of quinine. That's really a mass of wire. Push straight through the quinine until you see something that sounds like trip hammers. You'll be safe. How do you know all this, Robin? I've been briefed by an expert, Gully. There was the sensation of laughter. You'll be falling back into the past any moment now. Peter and Saul are here. They say au revoir and good luck. And Jiz Dagenham, too. Good luck, dear Gully. The past? This is the future? Yes, Gully. Am I here? Is Olivia... And then he was tumbling down the space timelines, back into the dreadful pit of now.